Welcome to the Lovecars on the Grid podcast, your global motorsport roundup with me, Tiff, Needell and Paul Woodman.
Welcome to Lovecars on the Grid, your global motorsport podcast. This is episode number 42 and it's the first one of the new series. So this is new season. We've got to be trendy like these Netflix
New
youngsters.
Year. I think it's New Year. Happy New Year, everyone, by the way.
Happy New Year indeed. But it is new season as well. So we're going to kick off. There's a bit of action happening with Dakar, a little bit of drama there. We're going to discuss a little bit, a big explosion. We're going to discuss the next British Formula One star. Bit of BTCC, but it wouldn't be a Lovecars on the Grid podcast without kicking off with Formula One first. And Tiff, Needell, do you remember the Belgium Grand Prix in 2021 at Spa? Do you remember what happened?
It rained a bit.
Well, exactly. Nothing happened. There was a processional 3-lap race at the end of it. And the reason I'm mentioning this is because
and Max Verstappen got some points for winning it, which was because he was on pole. But we won't go back there. We're not going.
Let's not go there. Congratulations to Max. He'll be sipping a Heineken as we're speaking. But actually, bizarrely, so these poor fans, 70,000 people waiting all day in the rain. So not to mention the millions of people around the world watching on home, but they paid good money to go and watch this race. And you know how much they're going to get remunerated for going to for not getting a race, for getting.
Well, I thought they were going to get a full refund, weren't they? There wasn't a proper race.
Oh, you are funny in this new year, Tim. They're getting nothing.
No.
Zilch, nada, nothing. 70,000 people. That. Just their money has gone.
That's not the FIA, though, is it? You can't blame them. We can't blame them. Is that what Liberty and them?
It is, yeah. It's Formula One. It's Liberty Media. It's not Michael Massey for once. It's not the FIA. It's Liberty Media. But what's happening is they're being invited to go into this draw, some sort of super draw where they can win a gold, silver. Let me read this here. Fans are not being offered any form of remuneration for their tickets, which can cost several hundreds of euros each. They are being given the opportunity to enter a prize draw to win seats at next year's race. A total of 170 seats will be given away. That's 170. 20 VIP, 50 gold, and 100 silver.
So 170 out of about 70,000.
70,000. So I think that's a bit poor, Mr. Liberty Media, Miss non-binary Liberty Media person that doesn't identify from anything. But I think that's poor, personally. But hopefully those 70,000 people will be back next year because Spa.
It's all about the money. Good
so
old
Liberty. Speaking of money, it costs a few quid to do this Dakar these days. Any motorsport's expensive, but that is proper big boy stuff. But and it is all kicking off in Saudi Arabia with Dakar.
Yeah, well, sadly, but we joke about it. It started with a bang, but I mean, it's quite a serious event. That this it was a service crew car. There were 6 of them in the car. They just left the hotel to go to the start. It's even before it even started. And just as soon as they drove away, there was an explosion. It's still not really. Explains definitely as a criminal activity. They're looking into it. It could have been an oxygen bottle in the car for all I know, but the car burst into flames. And the French, he's the driver. He wasn't driving the support vehicle. Philippe Boutron had very bad leg injuries and had to be airlifted out back to France, and obviously won't be in the Dakar. Obviously, there is security issues out in Saudi. There are people that don't like the race happening. It's a bit of an insult, perhaps, to some of their beliefs out there, and so it could have been. A deliberate bomb planted, but slightly worrying, and obviously very sorry for that crew that aren't doing the Dakar.
Yeah, let's not speculate because it could have been fuel, it could have been, like you said, oxygen or anything. So let's wait and see what happens. But it is a bit of a bombshell, if you excuse that pun, to kick off Dakar. But but there is plenty of action happening out on. I was going to say on the track, but on the sand.
Yeah, but even before the event started, apart from that, we had the balance of power. I mean, Carlos Sainz moaning already. I saw that. Sainz, to me, is a bit like the Alonso of rallying. Him and Alonso are both very successful drivers from Spain. Brilliant in each of their sides of the world. But they both seem to, complain a lot when they think the world's against them. Because Carlos Sainz is one of the Audi RSQ e-tron. So this
looks amazing, doesn't it?
That's fantastic. So it runs electric engines to power it, but it's got a 2-litre petrol engine, 2 litres to charge the batteries while it's going on. So it's this experimental class because again, the FIA are now involved, warning to rally raid people. This is actually the first of their new official, a World Rally Raid Championship, the FIA World Rally Raid Championship, of which Dakar is the first round. And so, again, FIA, they want this road relevance. Everyone wants manufacturers in. But if you do get manufacturers in, they do want to win a lot because they're investing huge sums of money. Audi are quite famous for complaining a lot when the regs go against them. Le Mans, they had that diesel engine arrive, and it was virtually telling Le Mans, unless you give us a 28-litre engine with 10,000 horsepower, we won't come. And so they're so desperate to have manufacturers, they'll let them almost write the rule book before they come in. But at the moment, it's this the top class, the T class. There's T1s and T2s and T3s and T Ultra, all that are competitive. But there's the T1 Plus, is the current, the Toyotas and the ProDrive cars, that are the more regular buggies, petrol engines, that have been there for years. But Audi were enticed to come in with the first of the T1 electric T1E class. And these rules have been written for about 18 months, but all of a sudden, when it finally came down to what you're going to get Audi, they're not happy. They haven't got the suspension travel they wanted, or the onboard air jacking system, because they're heavier. And all the cars had to go to Switzerland about 6 months ago to be equalised, as they try to this balance of power, try to be fair to everybody. And I fear this is something that's going to happen in world sports cars. We've got this incoming, this LMP hybrid, the LMP Daytona, two very different rule books, so they try to balance the power. And to my mind, obviously ProDrive and Toyota complained a bit when they saw the rule book and said, well, that's a bit too much to Audi, so they took a few things away. And it's almost as if Audi expect they should be allowed to win the first event. To my mind, if you're a new boy, you shouldn't expect to be winning. You should expect to be close, and then you develop. But if the existing team suddenly face an Audi with a rule book that makes them walk away with the event, then that's not much reward for having been doing the Dakar for the last 10 or 20 years in Toyota's case. So I don't like it when they moan straight away. It is it's fascinating rules. I mean, as I say, it's hybrid.
And you're right with rules in motorsport, because and I hark back to the Caterham stuff, but even the Caterham, you were saying to me at the beginning of the season, if there's anything that can get you a 10th, anything in the rules that you can push. So we all do it at even at grass sports motorsport, you push the rules as far as you can. But how you come up with the equivalent? I mean, what they ended up, and apparently the Toyota's got 402 brake horsepower, and the Audi ended up with 386, because the Audi with the electric engine's got more torque. So what is the advantage of more torque against more power? So basically, I know it's difficult now with this in this hybrid era, but surely the solution is just to say you cannot have more than X amount of kilowatt per hour, and you cannot have more than X amount of CC, and it cannot be turbocharged. But
we're heavier, Audi. We're heavier. We want
but that's
more.
Your problem.
That's your problem. I know. But it's so close. So basically, got the three Audis up against the three ProDrive BRX cars, and about 6 of the Toyota Hilux, the T1 Plus. That's how we set out of the rally, with this sort of equivalency problem. And apparently Audi, the other thing Audi wanted, because there's going to be, as in GT3, it's a computerized system over the course of the year, takes in the results of the previous event and adapts the compatibility. That's how balance of power works quite well in the GT3. But apparently Audi wanted it to be changed during the event. Instead of waiting at the end of the Dakar, they wanted the updates to happen as the event. Anyway, it all backfired completely for Audi, because on day 2 of the rally proper, their whole team's fallen apart. So all that concern about gaining another 1/10 of a second, because their 3 cars had an awful, it was actually day 2 on Sunday, the first proper stages. Because what was it? Stefan Petter Hansel, who was actually the furthest running, very competitive, took a whole corner, ripped a corner off on a rock. So he's virtually out of the rally. And the other 2, Carlos Sainz and Marcus Ekstrom, got lost in this very complex way book they had, way station they were all trying to find. So I think what is Sainz is down at about what positions I've got? He's about 20th or something. I've written it down somewhere. He's down in 48th place. Is that right? He's 2 hours down, and Marcus Ericsson's in 37th place, an hour and 45 minutes down. So Well, I mean, so it's such a thing, Dakar, because it's not just, going fast or equivalency. It's so much about navigation. And they used to have maps and sat nav and stuff, which they had to kick out because the Dakar organisers want it to be an adventure, not just a race across the dunes. So they have these way books, and it happened with the motorbikes as well. It was chaos. It was like, I was watching Carlton Kirby talk about it. He's lovely. Eurosport every night this week. So I've got to start watching, pick up on the Dakar, because Carlton wanders on, waffling away. He loves it, and he just describes these happenings with a wonderful laid-back manner. But loads of people got lost. They have to find these way stations. You have to get within 200 meters of a way station, and you have to follow a road book. That's the only navigation you have. There was an area they got to near a way station. I'll read out what it was because it's fascinating really how it works. So you're in a book in a dusty desert, bouncing along on a motorbike, trying to read your road book in front of your eyes. And at 257.6 kilometers, there was a fork of 42 degrees you had to take. And then after about 200 meters, you had to take another 10 degrees left and then follow the track, is what they say. So where some managed to, but the point is, when they wrote the road book and some of the competitors complaining, the guy from Dakar, there is one track, quite obviously, because you're driving along it at 20 miles an hour, right in the road book. But apparently, as soon as a few drivers had got a bit off that one track and made different marks, those that come later, well, the track is now a mess of people. And they were just all turning around and trying to refine them. When you see one of the films, we didn't see it yesterday, watching, and the highlights are revolving all day long on Eurosport. You can watch yesterday's action. And there's a scene with about 7 or 8 bikes, top bikers, all sort of going off in different directions. And Carlos Sainz had a head-on crash. I think it was the Mini of Nani Roma. They met him coming over in the other direction, going the other way. So there's a lot of hazards.
Imagine that in the middle of the desert, nothing around for miles and miles and miles. You always have a head-on.
Anyway, through it all, Nasser Al-Attiyah is this amazing Dakar veteran in the Toyota team. And he's got an incredible navigator. His name forgets me, but he's very famous for catching these tracks and getting the route exactly right. He led the way home, and Sebastian Loeb, being quite clever, actually followed Nasser through this tricky area. So the two of them were the only two that didn't lose about half an hour just going to this one way station.
So you're allowed a compass. You're allowed a compass. What sort of technical equipment are you allowed? So not allowed
it's just this road book. I'm not quite sure. No GPS for sure. It's just literally the road book. They took away the maps a few years back. I mean, so much about this I don't know. Like I said, there's so many categories and classes and petrols and diesels and buggies and 2-wheel drives and 4-wheel drives. Then you've got the bikes, you've got the quad bikes, and you've got the buggies, electric motorbike bikes, and the trucks. It's such an amazing event.
And when does it all end? When does it all end, Tiff?
It's got 2 weeks to go.
2 weeks.
2 weeks to go.
Crikey,
our only Brit, as I said last week, in with the charts in the cars, is Michael Orr, who's the co-driver of the Toyota Rahid Al Raji, and he's 9th. So our British navigator, got him through and finished 9th. In the bikes, again, huge championship names like Toby Price, the Aussie. He got lost completely. He's 22nd place. He's an hour down. But his fellow Aussie, Daniel Sanders, leads the bikes. Sam Sunderland, our British hope, is 6th. And the other Brits, I mentioned, the only category we've got more than one competitor in is the bikes. But it shows how tough it is, for a privateer. Down in 55th place was David McBride, 120th place David Mabbs, and 138th, 5 hours behind the leader after just one day, it was Simon Hewitt. But when they're on an amazing adventure, how they do it, the exhaustion of pulling those bikes to the sand, and to be 5 hours down after day one. But, it's just good luck to them all. Oh, one quick mention on the bikes, World Superbike fans, Daniel Petrucci, who is just out of MotoGP after his last season, he's out there adventuring, and he's 13th at the moment, 33 minutes off the lead. So just keep watching it, because Carlton Kirby will guide you through it. It's a wonderfully entertaining. The shots, the film, the footage of the terrain they're going across is just magical.
It is beautiful. And the bikes are really interesting you say that, because you cannot believe how much it saps your energy. I went to watch my friend on New Year's Day, just on a 1-hour enduro sort of trials thing. So the track is lots of mud, and you've got to go over jumps and all this sort of bits and pieces. and he's a super fit guy. You know, Ash Morgan.
Oh yes, Ash, yes, of course.
Super fit, very talented rider, and he was blowing so much because you're forever, wrestling against the mud in this instance. But when you're wrestling against the sand, arguably that's even harder. So it's really, he was blowing. He was really blowing. But we're going to do. I think probably a good time to mention, we're going to do some grassroots stuff. We're going to cover that in the new TV show that's coming up. So we're going to do lots of grassroots stuff. I don't know whether you're going to, I was thinking about getting you onto that, Tim, see if you do an hour's endurance race. Not endurance, an hour's race, but.
I tell you what, for fifth gear, Top Gear Motorsport, I went a sidecar of a sidecar scrambler, standing on the side, holding onto the rails. And after about 2 laps, I just couldn't stand up. My knees were jelly. I couldn't stand up. I actually put us in a hedge because the corner went left. I'm on the right in my chair. And I couldn't leave. I was still, because I'd come out of a previous corner left hand, and I was leaning over it. And the poor rider had no steering because I wasn't moving to the other side. And that's how important the bloke on the back is. Yeah, leaping out. I know.
Please let us know below if you've got access to any grassroots motorsport that you would like to have featured on the new TV show. Please let us know below. We're definitely going to be going to Japan to do some filming because we've been commissioned by National Geographic in Japan as well, which will be exciting. But anything closer to home. So whatever it may be, wherever it may be, let us know and we'll see if we can cover it. So the future of Formula One for the next British star.
Interesting time of year because young drivers begin to sign up for Formula 3 and Formula 2, and I was just sort of beginning to think ahead, because we're very lucky in Formula 1. We have got, as I said, we've got 3.5 British drivers.
Who's the half?
Well, it's Alexander Albon. I can't. So he's Thai. I mean, everyone says he's Thai, British Thai. So
whoever's paying the money, that's what nationality is.
I mean, he says he's Thai, but we're 3.5. Whereas, of course, only France, Spain, Germany, and Canada have 2. The other countries only got 1 driver. And Canada, of course, both are billionaires' boys who have made them. Still very good drivers.
Still very good drivers.
Drivers. Not maybe brilliant, but they're very good. So we are a bit lucky at the moment to have 3.5. But I was just thinking ahead. Where's the next star of Britain coming from? And of course, the way you look first to Formula 2 and Formula 3 from last year. And of course, the only guy we had in Formula 2 was Dan Ticktum. He's now going Formula E, so maybe he's never going to be a Grand Prix driver now. He's sort of blown his chances slightly. Then in Formula 3, again, we didn't have any real superstars in Formula 3. Ollie Caldwell was our best in 8th. He was in his 2nd year of Formula 3. He's never won any championships yet, so he's going up to Formula 2, and hopefully he can do better. But at the moment, no brilliance exposed. And then the other 2 that did Formula 3, the new boys, Johnny Edgar was 18th in the championship and Jonathan Hoggard 20th. So it's hard again to see, who's going to be the next star. So the other thing you look at is the Autosport Awards. And that's why I was thinking about it, because they were delayed. They should have been on December the 19th, wasn't it? They postponed it till February the 6th. And this is the magical awards ceremony. And the point is just getting into the final. It's a big fillip to young drivers to get their sponsorship for next year. And I'm sure they're quite annoyed that it's been put into February the 6th. So we still don't know which of the 4 finalists is going to win it. And this is something that was won by Jenson Button in 1998, George Russell in 2014, Lando Norris in 2016, and Dan Ticktum actually won it in 2017. So, winning this award is a really great indicator of talent. And I should point out that I was the winner of the equivalent award in 1976 when it was called the Grovewood Award. And I was voted the most promising young British driver. And I was presented with a £1,000 cheque by James Hunt, who'd just come back from Japan when he won the World Championship. So
there's an exception to every rule, listeners.
Thank you very much.
Sometimes they don't get it right every
year. Not all award winners end up being superstars, but they get to be a Grand Prix driver. Just.
Very good.
So it's a wonderful event. Of course, I got £1,000. They get £200,000 now. It used to be a Mercedes award, Mercedes McLaren Autosport Award, and the drivers used to get test drives in Formula 1 cars. They don't happen anymore. And that's why Lewis Hamilton isn't on the list, because Lewis was actually a factory McLaren driver at that stage. So he couldn't get it. It was a McLaren Autosport thing. So Lewis didn't do it. So anyway, so this year's 4 finalists are all sitting there waiting to be announced. Johnny Edgar is in that list, although he's already done a season of Formula 3. And he was a Red Bull boy that he won Formula 4 in Italy, but just last year in Formula 3 didn't have a very good year, so he really needs to up his game. A 16-year-old Zach O'Sullivan, who was the British Formula 3 champion last year. If he could beat these other boys in this award, it would be an amazing fillip to his career. Louis Foster, interesting, 18-year-old. He was second in the Euro Formula, sort of cheaper Formula 3 like a championship, went around Europe last year. But he's already almost given up, sadly, on a Grand Prix. He's got over to America. He's doing the US Formula. He's Formula 4 2000, I think, in US. Because he wants to move. US Formula, you win the championship, you get a huge grant to move up the next step. So Louis already decided, well, I'll try and be an IndyCar driver because the chances of being a Formula 1 driver are pretty remote, which is sad but interesting. He's made that move. But most excitement is about this Ollie Behrman boy. And that's right where I thought about talking about this, because he's just been announced as the Formula 3 driver for the crack Prema Power team for next year. So he's signed up, he's got his drive. And he won the Italian Formula 4 championship last year and the German Formula 4 championship, doing them both. So a lot of hype about him. You sort of expect he's going to win the Autosport Award, but then you sort of, maybe Johnny Edgar's, but who knows? So it's quite an interesting, because they actually drive 4 very weird cars. The 4 finalists go to Silverstone. They drive a Formula 2 car, a GT car, a sports car, and one other, I think. So it's a fantastic test of talent. And they've got great judges like Derek Warwick and lots of people watching these young talents. So it really is a great indication of someone that maybe will be in Grand Prix racing in 4 years' time. So
I went to
look and listen, watch those names. We'll obviously be announcing the winner in a few weeks' time at the Grand Gala dinner on February the 6th.
Are you going?
And, we'll see, because I'm waiting for an invitation.
I went a couple of years ago. Malak,
where's the Lovecars table? Well, who invited you?
We can't afford that. Michael Malak invited us last time, and you were invited. I think you were washing your hair that night. So we watched.
Have you phoned Napa up yet, so we can represent their touring car battle?
No, we did get a lovely. It's Christmas, so they're not going to be answering the phone. They're too wealthy for that. But we did get a lovely couple of mentions on Twitter. People trying to tap up Napa for us. So if you know anyone at Napa, put them in touch, please. Speaking of touring cars, you were asking about, or we were both asking about Jake.
Yeah, a week ago. Yeah, where's Jake going? Where's Jake going?
That's it. He's going to be done. His career's done for. Little did we know.
Straight out this week. Signed up with the BMW team with West Surrey Racing, and not with the sort of factory coloured cars. He's brought his own money. Rocket. Again, this is fantastic news for touring cars. As I said with the Napa deal, they need proper sponsors so the teams can choose the drivers and pay the best drivers and make it a more professional setup. So, because he's got Mark Blundell as his manager at J Hill, so Mark's probably found the Rocket money and they've gone to BMW. But my only problem is, guess what colour the Rocket sponsored car is? Reference. Black. I complained last year. Because the works BMWs are black, and I think the 2 private BMWs are black, and the Hondas were black. And please, it just needs to. You literally sometimes last year we saw about 8 black cars in a row. You're trying to pick out who's who. We need more colour. Alan Gow, come and get out, start telling them limit colours. First one to register with each colour, and only 3 of each colour allowed.
Well, we're going to get some bright colours on the Lovecars catering for this forthcoming season. So, and if anybody's a sponsorship expert, please let us know. Ineos, imagine that, the old Ineos. Oh, I could see it now.
Napa Rocket.
Napa. Oh, I could see it now. Do you imagine the exposure?
I think maybe we should go down to Bristol Motors, maybe the local garage or something for sponsorship at your level. Really, that's what I was. I always tell youngsters to look for local businesses. This is what youngsters, if you're looking for sponsorship out there, don't write to Rocket and Napa and Marlborough and others and believe you're going to get there. You literally have to find local sponsors if you're just right at the bottom leg of the ladder, and trying to get local businessmen involved, and then he can back you. And that's the way sponsorship works, really, at the very lower levels. You never see any really big household names, outside of Formula 1, Formula 3 and stuff. So we in Formula 3.
You watch this space, Mr. Needell. Don't forget, we got a bit of a different package to just doing the Road Sport Championship, because we got the television show. So we've got some space on the helmet. We've got
love cars. We've got love cars on the grid. We've got love cars on the road.
Podcasts. We've got millions of views on YouTube. So any potential sponsors, Ineos, Rocket, Napa, let us know. We could do with the money, and we'll see what we can do in return. We'll do some pretty epic stuff in return. But we can't wait to do a TV show. That's going to be the big thing for us in 2022. But we're going to continue with this every single week. The podcast, the Motorsport podcast. We may, if Tiff's away, I'm away, may get some mystery guests in. Ben Collins, he's keen to come and have a chat with you because I know
My podcast.
he's
My
a
idea.
big Max fan, and you and I are quite big Lewis fans, so that would be quite an interesting one on a controversial Formula One weekend. But plenty more as well that are waiting to come and take our.
Where's our FIA? We appealed for an FIA insider to leak what's going on, because I mean, when's this great report coming out? When is it being investigated? We need to know the inside line.
I still can't believe Mercedes dropped that appeal, because I wouldn't have dropped it. I would have been so bloody minded. They were
both deserving champions over the season. It's just the way it was ended was horrible.
Red Bull would not have dropped the appeal. That's my final settlement. But congratulations to Max. Congratulations.
See you next week. Watch the Dakar, everyone. Oh,
what's his name?
Have a beer. Carlton Kirby. Listen to Carlton. He's just lovely. It's the perfect fit for the Dakar.
Great. Happy New Year, everybody. See you next week.
Cheers.